Welcome into the Forge! Today, we are going to be touching on a band that is very personal to us, Type O Negative. Their journey through the music world was marked by a constant evolution, both sonically and thematically.
The band consistently defied genre conventions. Join us as we uncover the incredible story of the Drab Four, their rise, their evolution, and the lasting legacy of Peter Steele and Type O Negative.
The story of Type O Negative, the architects of a sound both crushingly heavy and seductively melancholic, begins in the wake of another, more abrasive entity known as Carnivore. By 1989, this thrash-infused, hardcore crossover band, fronted by the imposing Peter Steele, had reached its conclusion. They left behind a legacy of controversial lyrics and a reluctance to fully embrace the touring demands of the music industry. Carnivore, despite amassing a dedicated cult following, ultimately dissolved. Yet, Peter Steele remained bound by a multi-album contract with Roadrunner Records.
It was during their existence that Carnivore's sonic landscape was marked by its raw intensity and lyrical explorations into often taboo subjects such as racism, misogyny, and war, themes that hinted at the provocative nature that would also permeate Steele's subsequent project.
When I was in Carnivore, I had intentionally written songs like Jesus Hitler, God is Dead. I mean, I attacked left-wing people, right-wing people.
That's what music's for, that's what art's for. They can have you hear or see something that you may not want to look at. That's a good reminder.
That's rock. Rock is taking those primal feelings and amplifying them to 150 fucking decibels. And saying fuck you to the world.
Steele himself harbored a feeling that Roadrunner Records had not fully understood or effectively really promoted Carnivore, a sentiment that would color his future interactions with that particular label.
It was the summer of 1989, and Peter Steele embarked on forming his new musical endeavor. He enlisted the talents of childhood friends Sal Abruscato on drums and Josh Silver on keyboards, with Kenny Hickey on guitar. Silver had prior musical history with Peter Steele, having played together in a band called Fallout that actually predates Carnivore. The nascent group initially adopted the name Repulsion, but they soon discovered that another band already claimed that moniker, so they had to change it.
Pretty sick fucking band too. Repulsion's awesome.
Yeah, it's an awesome band name. They operated briefly under Sub-Zero, before finally settling on a moniker that would become synonymous with their sound, Type O Negative. A radio advertisement seeking donations of Type O Negative blood inspired the band's name, and that's how it is, baby. They hinted at the morbid themes that they would soon be known for.
So the early days of Type O Negative saw the band grappling with Carnivore's legacy. While they kept the foundational thrash and hardcore elements of their predecessor, they wove in contrasting textures, notably inclusion of 80s synth pop keyboards and the slow, deliberate weight of doom metal. This sonic amalgamation, however, proved to be a point of contention for some of the early fans who had expected Steele to continue with the thrash hardcore sound.
And there was a few shows that I called people up on stage and I gave them their money back and I threw them out. I said, you fucking asshole, and I'm calling your mother, and I would call their mother up on stage. Do you know where your fucking son is right now? Kids today, I don't know.
Despite the initial challenges, the core musical influences that would shape Type O Negative's identity solidified.
Interestingly enough, it was the Beatles and Black Sabbath that emerged as the primary guiding force, representing the poles of melodic sensibility and heavy darkness that would come to define Type O's sound. Keyboardist Josh Silver also brought his appreciation for the atmospheric soundscapes of Pink Floyd to the mix, further enriching their sonic palette.
Jimi Hendrix, T-Rex, especially the Slider, Pink Floyd, Sabbath, it was just a flood of everything. The Sabbath means what sparked us and why we were where we were,
This convergence of influences laid the groundwork for Typo's signature style, that blend of crushing heaviness and unexpected melodic beauty.
So that gets us into Slow, Deep, and Hard, which was kind of a contentious beginning for the band. Typo Negative's debut album debuted on June 11th, 1991, offering the first full glimpse of that nascent sound that the band's known for.
Now you die!
The album's origins trace back to a 1990 demo titled None More Negative, released under their previous moniker, Repulsion. This demo, essentially released with no sound modification by Roadrunner Records, was the bedrock for the debut. Slow, Deep, and Hard presented a sonic tapestry woven from dragging Black Sabbath-esque riffs, explosive hardcore punk outbursts, and the brooding atmospheres of industrial and goth rock.
The compressor is running smoothly. There's a vengeance.
The tracks were expansive and theatrical, often unfolding in multiple distinct movements, with lyrics that revolved around the themes of betrayal, revenge on cheating lovers, and self-termination. Because of its demo origins, though, some consider the album's sound quality to be raw and unpolished, but that's what made it great.
Despite some mixed reviews regarding the actual sound mix, the debut ignited some immediate controversy, largely stemming from the often sarcastic lyrical content found in tracks such as Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity, Prelude to Agony, and particularly Der Untermensch. These songs led to accusations of misogyny, bigotry, and even Nazism, often fueled by a misunderstanding of the band's mocking humor. Their sarcasm, a key element in Peter Steele's songwriting, frequently failed to translate effectively to audiences in non-English speaking countries, where their literal interpretations of his lyrics caused considerable offense.
Adding to the album's contentious nature was the cover art, a stark, unblurred close-up of sexual penetration sourced from pornographic magazines. These controversies had a tangible impact on the band's early career, contributing to the cancellation of shows and protests during their first European tour. Initially, Typo Negative faced a challenging audience, composed of thrashcore enthusiasts and hardcore skinheads who expected the aggressive energy of neoconservative values of Carnivore. The early fans often reacted negatively to the band's slower, more introspective, and decidedly gothic elements, struggling to reconcile the new sound with Peter Steele's previous work. But like a true bro, keyboardist Josh Silver held the opinion that Peter Steele's lyrical prowess was at its peak during the creation of this debut, and that's a fucking bud right there.
Yeah. Even in these early stages, the band's penchant for incorporating unexpected musical elements was definitely evident. Unsuccessfully Coping with the Natural Beauty of Infidelity notably borrowed the chord structure from Simple Minds' iconic track,
Don't you?
Forget About Me. In a blatant display of their unconventional humor, the interlude, The Misinterpretation of Silence and Its Disastrous Consequences, consisted entirely of a minute of silence, or more accurately, tape hiss. I mean,
Awesome.
that's what the title is referring to, right?
It's so good. Even the theme song from beloved American sitcom The Munsters inspired the main riff of Gravitational Constant.
But there's a riff in Gravity that Peter based on the theme from the show The Munsters. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. No, 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 no. Slow it down.
Throughout the album, the band explored a diverse range of sonic textures, from the intensity of speed metal to ethereal beauty, all contrasted by grim industrial music and the harrowing weight of doom. This early experimentation hinted at genre bending that would become a hallmark for Typo Negative's future work.
So there's humor in the Gloom, and the origin of the Feces absolutely shows that off, folks. It was 1992. Typo followed their debut with The Origin of the Feces, released on May 12th. This second offering was a decidedly unconventional project, conceived as a faux live album. I thought it was a live album the first time I heard it. Subtitled Not Live at Brighton Beach, it was essentially a re-recording of the majority of Slow, Deep, and Hard, presented with the deliberate illusion of a live performance. To achieve this effect, the album incorporated fake crowd noises, staged banter between songs, and even a simulated evacuation due to a threat.
So awesome.
This elaborate concept was a direct response to the hostile reactions the band had encountered during their recent European tour, kind of a way to satirize the experience. Adding to this album's unique character, the re-recorded tracks were presented with entirely new titles, putting a fresh slab of grime on for unfamiliar ears.
Beyond the redone material, The Origin of the Feces also featured original compositions, including Are You Afraid and Hey Pete, the latter being a darkly humorous cover of Jimi Hendrix's Hey Joe, with rewritten lyrics referencing Peter Steele himself. The 1994 issue of the album further expanded its content with the addition of a gothic metal rendition of Black Sabbath's Paranoid, and this song is fucking brilliant. Continuing with their tradition of provocative imagery, the original release of The Origin of the Feces sported a highly controversial cover, an extreme close-up photograph of what was purported to be Peter Steele's asshole, complete with a feces-scented scratch-and-sniff square.
This bold fart work was later replaced on reissues with a more conventional image of a 15th century Victorian painting. The strategy to re-release songs also assisted the band's momentum, unshackling them from the confines of studio and recording time that really require focus for a brand new album. It was suggested that Roadrunner Records was eager for a new Typo Negative release, but aware that the band wasn't ready with their new material, so they pushed for this live album concept as a stopgap of sorts.
Several anecdotes further illuminate the unique nature of The Origin of the Feces, including the fake audience chant of "You suck."
Typo Negative sucks!
That was reportedly Peter Steele's own idea, a testament to his own self-deprecating humor, which I love. The photographer responsible for the infamous original artwork insisted on remaining anonymous, likely because of the image itself.
Yeah, all I want to know is how many takes did they do? Like, was it several? Was it 100?
Yeah, not enough asshole.
Was he freshly groomed? So many questions, dude.
The album's title itself was a deliberate pun, a play on the title of Charles Darwin's seminal work On the Origin of Species, underscoring the band's penchant for dark, often irreverent humor. These elements combined to create an album that was so much of a statement of the band's personality as it was a collection of songs, and that further exemplified their unique place in the metal landscape.
So as they broke through the darkness, they delivered bloody kisses upon all of our cheeks. It was 1993. They've released their third studio album, Bloody Kisses. It's August 17th, and this record would prove to be their commercial breakthrough. This was the defining moment for the burgeoning goth metal genre. If you're interested in learning more about the goth metal genre itself, go check out our video on goth metal if you haven't already. Bloody Kisses, it marked a significant evolution in the band's sound, incorporating more melodic elements and a greater emphasis on Peter Steele's deep, resonant singing voice.
The record achieved unprecedented success for the band and their label, becoming the first album in Roadrunner Records history to earn a gold certificate in America, eventually reaching platinum status, which is, I didn't know that until doing the research for this video.
It's crazy.
Yeah. This achievement propelled Type O Negative into the mainstream consciousness and broadened their fan base so much more than it was.
Peter Steele. Peter Steele. Does that strikes you as rather strange? I mean, are you up there playing, women are dancing, going crazy, throwing themselves at you, trying to meet you backstage? What do you think of these women?
Well, it's odd to me because this is my job. I'm not here to have a good time. I'm here to pay my phone bill and, pay the rent. If they want to throw themselves at me, well, that's their business.
And do you take them up on it? Do you sleep with some of them? Have sex with some
I'm
of them?
going to have to take the Fifth Amendment on that.
The album spawned several key tracks that became staples of their repertoire, such as Black Number 1, which emerged as their most popular song, a sprawling, sarcastic ode to goth girls inspired by a past relationship of Peter Steele's. Steele famously penned the lyrics while working as a garbage truck driver, waiting in a long line at a transfer station, which that's when the best songs are written, right? The song's combination of gothic atmosphere, driving riffs, and Steele's signature baritone resonated deeply within the alternative metal scene.
All you gotta do is go out and say, "Hey, baby." I'm like in a video.
Another pivotal track was Christian Woman, inspired by a Roman Catholic woman who, as Steele himself described, enjoyed breaking the rules a little bit. An edited, more radio-friendly version of the song surprisingly became a hit on the US radio, further fueling the album and the band's success.
Bloody Kisses also featured a distinctive cover of Seals and Croft's Summer Breeze. Initially, the band recorded it with a more salacious lyrics under the title Summer Girl, but the original songwriters objected. They were like, nah, put a stop on that one, please, leading to the release featuring the original lyrics. The album's title track, Bloody Kisses, A Death in the Family, held a more personal meaning for Peter Steele, serving as a metaphorical tribute to his beloved cat, Venus, who at that time had recently passed away. The opening track, Machine Screw, set a dark and sensual tone with unsettling ambient sounds, including moans reportedly from Josh Silver's ex-girlfriend.
It's funny, I felt so awkward listening to this when I was like a teenager because you don't want your parents to hear it.
Right, yeah. I'm sure that track is on mute.
I'm sure a lot of people felt that way when they discovered this band.
Yeah. Following the release, the band underwent a significant lineup change. Their original drummer, Sal, departed to join fellow Roadrunner record artist Life of Agony. Johnny Kelly, who had previously worked with the band as their drum tech, subsequently replaced him. Great fit. This new lineup, featuring Kelly's more hard-hitting, versatile drumming style, would remain consistent for the rest of their career.
Fun, making some noise, and annoying some people.
The success of Bloody Kisses marked a pivotal moment for Type O Negative, elevating them from a cult following to a prominent force in the metal scene, and establishing their unique blend of gothic atmosphere, doom-laden riffs, and Peter Steele's charismatic presence.
And this is where the band started really leaning into the romantic feel. That's when October Rust came out. On August 20th, 1996, Type O Negative released their fourth studio album, October Rust. My personal favorite, this release marked a further evolution in their sound. It showcased a notable shift towards more ballads and a reduced emphasis on the overt doom metal elements that characterized their earlier work, although it's still kind of doomy. October Rust embraced a distinctly gothic rock feel, a warmer, more lush, and more orchestral sonic palette. This change in direction proved to be really successful for the band, as the album received critical acclaim and further solidified the band's reputation as innovators within gothic metal.
If it doesn't upset people, it's not rock music. It has to upset the church, it has to upset your parents.
Right.
October Rust also became the first Typo Negative album to break into the top half of the Billboard Top 200 chart, debuting at number 42 and achieved gold certification in the United States. Pretty remarkable for the band.
Yeah, those are huge numbers.
Yeah.
This album featured a collection of songs that explored themes of sex, nature, and sensuality, all blended with that humor and darkness that we have come to love. One of the album's notable tracks was the cover of Neil Young's classic song, Cinnamon Girl, reinterpreted through Typo's gothic lens. The album also included fan favorite songs such as Love You to Death, the erotically charged Be My Druidess, in the Celtic nature-infused song Green Man. Interestingly, Green Man held a dual significance for Peter Steele, referencing both that Celtic embodiment of nature and his own experience working for the New York City Park Department, where children would often call him the Green Man because of his uniform. That's a really cool anecdote. The lyrical content of October Rust often delved into themes of love and loss, but with a more introspective and playful approach compared to their earlier, more overtly aggressive material. This shift towards dark romanticism broadened their appeal and resonated with a growing female fan base. Growing up, I feel like I knew more women that liked Typo Negative, so that statistic checks out.
And that's when they're like, ooh, I think we like goth chicks.
Yeah.
The reception of October Rust was positive, with many considering a high point in Typo Negative's discography. Bill Ward of Black Sabbath, a significant influence on the band's sound, even ranked October Rust among his favorite metal albums of all time.
Okay.
Proof of its quality and impact on the greater metal world. While commercially successful, October Rust did not reach the same sales figures as its predecessor, possibly due to the lack of a major radio single. Who knows? The album's artistic merit and enduring popularity, though, have cemented its status as a gothic metal masterpiece.
So sick.
We are bringing it all down. We are confronting loss. We are confronting addiction, the harrowing aspects of the human condition, World Coming Down. It was released on September 21, 1999. It took the band on a sharp turn towards significantly darker and more introspective sounds. The critics widely considered this album their bleakest.
It is.
And it is, yeah. Written after several deaths in Peter Steele's family. He had a deliberate shift away from the sexual themes, and he was just focusing on loss.
I'm still looking for someone who was around, but it could be.
Despite its somber tone, World Coming Down achieved commercial success, becoming the band's first album to break into the top 40 of the Billboard 200. Musically, the album leaned into that heavier, more distorted sound, with some echoing the raw intensity of their debut, while also consistently diving into that emotional territory.
The lyrical landscape of World Coming Down was dominated by themes of addiction, death, and profound despair. Songs like Everyone I Love Is Dead and Everything Dies directly confronted the pain of loss, reflecting Steele's personal grief over the passing of family members. And then there you've tracks like White Slavery, offering a raw and unflinching look at cocaine addiction, drawing from Steele's own struggles with the substance abuse. Adding to the album's unsettling vibe were 3 short instrumental soundscape tracks, titled after internal organs, sinus, liver, and lung, each intended to suggest potential causes of death, further emphasizing the album's morbid themes. A surprising contrast to the record's overall darkness, the final track was a medley of 3 Beatles songs, showcasing the band's diverse musical influences despite the sadness. World Coming Down garnered mostly positive reviews from critics who recognize its emotional depth and sonic weight. However, within the band itself, opinions were kind of divided. While keyboardist Josh Silver felt the music was strong, Peter Steele reportedly found the songs too closely tied to intense, uncomfortable periods in his life, which I kind of get. That's the double-edged sword of art, right? The personal connection to the album's darker themes made it challenging for Steele to revisit in a live setting, and consequently, very few songs from World Coming Down were performed in concert after the initial tour supporting the release of the album.
Life is killing me. So the band is now approaching their musical landscape with Cynicism. Things are changing. Their sixth studio album, Life is Killing Me, was released June 17th, 2003, and it marked their final studio release with Roadrunner. While thematically continuing down a path of sadness and that emotional weight, the album presented a slightly different musical flavor compared to its predecessors. Life is Killing Me embraced that more upbeat, though still darkly humorous approach, blending their signature gothic rock sound with elements of metal, punk, and even pop at times. The album showcased the band navigating personal challenges with that characteristic blend of satire, black humor.
The lyrical content of Life is Killing Me delved into familiar typo-negative territory, addressing mental illness, the passing of Peter Steele's parents, ongoing struggles with addiction, and the complexities of relationship problems.
What got easier was finding women, and what got harder was my penis.
The album featured I Don't Wanna Be Me, fantastic song, which would become one of their last significant anthems. Additionally, Peter Steele penned Nettie and Todd's Ship Gods Above All Things as tributes to his mother and father, respectively, a characteristic display of their eclectic tastes. The album also included a cover of Angry Inch from the off-Broadway musical Hedwig and the Angry Inch, as well as 13, a cover of the theme music from the classic TV show The Munsters. Notably, the album's original title was intended to be The Dream is Dead, perhaps reflecting Steele's disillusionment with various aspects of his life at the time.
The recording period for Life is Killing Me was reportedly chaotic and marked a challenging time for the band. Peter Steele was grappling with a particularly difficult breakup and was also undergoing rehabilitation for substance abuse.
I believe that I let my friends down, Josh, Kenny, and Johnny. I believe that I let the fans down. And thirdly and lastly, I let myself down. When you're under the influence of drugs and alcohol, and you live in a basement apartment where, I was truly fucking psychotic. I thought there was a black octopus coming out of my fucking toilet. And I took a sledgehammer and I smashed that fucking toilet.
Adding to the turmoil, he faced legal charges, including an arrest during the album's creation.
The amount that I drank on stage was directly proportional to the amount of people we were playing to. I developed heart problems.
Despite these personal struggles and the internal band dynamics, Typo managed to craft an album that, while perhaps not as cohesive as their other work, it still contained moments of brilliance and showcased their enduring ability to blend darkness with unexpected musical twists.
And then we get to Dead Again, the final chapter, unfortunately. Dead Again, released on March 13th, 2007, would ultimately and sadly become Typo Negative's seventh and final record. This album saw the band return to a heavier sound. This album's heavy as fuck, actually, echoing the intensity of their early material while incorporating elements from their entire discography. Dead Again achieved the band's highest chart position in the United States, debuting at 27 on the Billboard 200. This success, despite Peter Steele's increasingly fragile health, underscored the enduring connection the band had with their fan base.
I developed liver problems. I've never had a stroke. I've never had a heart attack. And as Mark Twain put it, rumors of my death have been highly exaggerated.
The lyrical themes of this album were deeply personal again, exploring, once again, addiction, love, and the spiritual journey that Peter Steele himself had embarked on, actually including a return to his Catholic faith. For the first time since Bloody Kisses, the album features studio drums played by Johnny Kelly, adding that more organic and energetic feel to the tracks. The album's cover art depicted Grigory Rasputin, a controversial historical figure whom Steele admired. Key tracks in the album include the title track, Dead Again, which addressed themes of relapse, September Sun, reportedly inspired by a failed marriage, and Halloween in Heaven, a tribute to Peter Steele's friend and Pantera guitarist Dimebag Darrell, who was unfortunately murdered.
Peter Steele's final years were marked by a renewed commitment to sobriety and an apparent improvement in his overall health.
And since I've been sober now about 6 months, I'm starting to like feel things again.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody obviously creative is. Glenn doesn't do anything. He drinks champagne once in a while. You know what I mean? And there's guys like me and Peter, just too far.
Tragically, this period of relative stability was sadly cut short when Steele passed away on April 14, 2010, at the young age of 48. The cause of death was ultimately determined to be sepsis, resulting from diverticulitis, although initial reports had indicated heart failure. His untimely death brought an end to an era which was typo negative, leaving a huge void in the gothic metal landscape that has unfortunately yet to be filled.
So what was his legacy? What is he still telling us from beyond the grave? Man, there is just such an enormous impact on the landscape of gothic and doom metal from this band. It's profound, it's enduring. Over their 2-decade-long career, the band cultivated that unique sonic identity, blending the crushing weight of doom with that atmospheric beauty of goth rock, and often their industrial edge from their earlier influences. Their music, characterized by Peter Steele's unmistakable deep baritone vocals and often darkly poetic lyrics, explored themes of love, loss, addiction, and spirituality with that signature blend of sincerity and satire. This distinctive approach has inspired countless bands within and beyond the metal genre and has solidified their status as true innovators.
Typo Negative's willingness to experiment with their sound across 7 studio albums, from raw aggression to more melodic and layered textures, demonstrated a constant artistic evolution, which we deeply respect. Their commercial success, particularly with Bloody Kisses achieving platinum status, brought gothic metal to a wider audience and challenged the conventional boundaries of heavy music.
Following Peter Steele's passing in 2010, the surviving members of Typo made the difficult decision to disband. The consensus among Kenny Hickey, Josh Silver, and Johnny Kelly was that Peter Steele was irreplaceable.
Agreed.
And the essence of the band just could not continue without his singular presence. While the possibility of occasional tribute shows featuring guest musicians has been mentioned by Kenny Hickey, a full-fledged reunion of Typo Negative remains unlikely, if not impossible. The legacy of the Drab Four continues to live on through their influential discography. Their unique blend of musical styles, coupled with Peter's unforgettable voice and lyrical vision, has ensured that Typo Negative's green and black flag continues to fly high in the chronicles of metal and music history.
Thumbs up the video if you dug it. Comment down below your favorite Typo Negative record. We'll see you in the next one.
Go with the gods, Forge mates. The Green Man is watching.